in. It's the relational covenant. The relational covenant is really our rules of behavior to which we need to comply. And let's read these together. In all things, we will pray to God for guidance. We will strive to be a church that seeks unity and acceptance of all people, respectful and tolerant in all our interactions, supportive of one another in addressing difficult situations, valuing the thoughts and ideas of others, though we may not agree. Open to considering change, we will listen in a caring way for understanding without interruptions, criticisms, or put-downs. With open minds, seeking to understand the other side of the issue, with awareness of our body language, we will speak the truth with love. Seeking to discover all the facts before we speak, refraining from threats, harsh gestures, and yelling. We will create safe, constructive, and regular opportunities to share thoughts, ideas, and opinions, striving for fairness, honoring the need to respect confidentiality, looking for occasions to talk face to face, taking turns expressing our thoughts. If we aren't able to communicate with each other, we will ask another non-judgmental person to be present. Moving into our warrant, in Article 1, review bylaws, Article 3, Section 2F5A, a quorum of 25 of the voting membership must be present to conduct the business. And Robert, you counted 28 coming through the door? Okay, so we exceed our quorum. So we may now proceed to Article 2. And that is to reflect on and discuss ministries and committees of the church. By that I mean to review the warrant. And if there are questions as I go through these pages, then speak up. We'll answer those questions. Those who authored any of these pages of the warrant, I do invite you to step forward here so that you're at the camera and those who are on Zoom can see you. I go first to the minister's report. Once again, lovingly submitted in lieu of a minister by me. Pastor Nina was instructed to not write this report, although she was here for, I thought, long enough that she could have, but she was instructed to not write it. I would, as I read through this minister's report, I would like to thank all those who led worship during 2024. And these names are listed in order of frequency, from Reverend Jan Powers being the most frequent among us, to Reverend Kathy Whitson being the least frequent. And even with the latest designated edition of their halftime designated term profile posted in the UCC database, we did receive that blessing toward the end of the summer and fall and through the winter really, of Pastor Nina being with us. And I believe that we truly saw that as a blessing. We were introduced to a playground that we had no idea how to spell it or what it meant, but we learned both. And we learned that we wanted to continue on with that. We do have so much to be thankful for. Any questions on the minister's report? You've had a couple of weeks to study this, you know. Deacon's report. Tom, go ahead. Speak. You would like to speak, of course you would.
Well, our deacon's report pretty much reflects what our minister's report was.
Sorry.
And there isn't really much to add. I do want to just, as not part of the deacon's report, but in the spirit of Mary Hamilton, dear Mary, give a shout out to Dave Crutchfield here, who just keeps everything going together in this church. There are so many pieces, and Dave knows how to connect those pieces together and keeps us in line to do that. So thank you, Dave. Oh, no, great wisdom. But is there any questions about the report? Thank you.
Report of the clerk. Robert, would you have anything to add to this report?
I do not.
We have, I think it was in January after we actually, or early February, after all the pieces were put together for this annual report, we did report to the UCC directory. It's a database of all UCC congregations, I guess, across the U.S. and maybe beyond, maybe worldwide. So the annual report feeds information into that directory, and this does show that we have a grand total membership of 93, and even with 93, sometimes it's tough to get a quorum through these doors. So thanks for your patience from 3 weeks ago for postponing this meeting until now. Any questions on the, or corrections to be made on the clerk's report? Moving on to the moderator's report. Yeah, I got to offer 2 of these reports, I'm sorry. That's on page 7 and 8. Any questions on this? There is a long list. There is a long list of people who have supported this congregation, this church, with their talents. And those, some of them, and I know not all of them are named here on page 8, but there's a pretty long list of folks that step up to the plate. But there's a PS. There is a PS at the bottom of this moderator's report. Buck still has opportunities for ushers and greeters, for grounds maintainers, mowers of the lawns, snow blowers of the snow, webmasters, Facebook coordinators, advertising coordinators, coordinators of coffee hour. Raise your hands, or just, better yet, step up and just do things that you see may need to be done. It's good to coordinate with others so that you're not stepping on others' toes. But there's always a list. Are there any volunteers for any of those right now? Crickets. Okay, moving on. Just as I suspected. Page 9, Sue Stevens did write various pages of this annual report from the standpoint of being the, what is this, not treasurer? Yeah, treasurer, I believe is the title. On page 9 is the report of special funds. There was a question I had whenever I read through her report on special funds, and that was Walmart, Target, GCs, gift cards. Gift cards. These were cards that were, it was voted in the council meeting to provide gift cards for winter clothing to be distributed through the Department of Education here in town to any kids who may have a need for that winter clothing. And I think this amounted to $20 20 gift cards, I believe it was, for $500, so $25 a card, which hopefully helped some families, some children through the winter. And I don't think Sue is on here with us today, but is there anything of question on this report on page 9? Okay. Page 10? Go ahead. Yeah, can you come up here? Thanks for joining us today, Amy. And if you stand right here, the camera's gonna be right on your mug, just like this.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
My name's Amy Eiler-Pelletier. I'm the coordinator for Helping Hands Covered Food Pantry. I'm not going to read all the details to you. I think the highlights are that our client base is pretty consistent in terms of numbers from last year. We are, continually tweaking our distribution system to make sure that our clients are getting healthy foods, foods that they would prefer. So we're not pre-packing any bags. We're giving people as much choice as possible. The storage that we have is nice because we are able to get a lot of meats, vegetables, and that kind of thing. One of the biggest pieces of news, I think, for this year is that we did get a capacity grant from the food bank in the amount of about $4,500, and we're using that to redo the food pantry room. So we're kind of like maybe a quarter of the way, not even through that, just in ordering some more mobile shelving so that it's easier to keep the actual room clean. We need to rip out cabinets because there has been some flooding, to say the least, down there. And so we want to just, do mold remediation. And so we're just, we're kind of on a pause for that right now, but that is our plan, is to redo the flooring in there, take out the built-in cupboards, use wire shelving so there's better air circulation. And we have so many people that help out between the Giving Tree in December and lots of different organizations and just members of our community who come forward at various times when they can help. Whether it's bringing, fresh eggs, or I had a couple months ago, there was this delightful young person and her father who came in, and they had like a bunch of small bottles of dish soap and just those kinds of things which plants can't use their SNAP credits for. So we're just very fortunate to have so much help from the community. Anyone have any questions or anything?
Amy, I have a question.
Yeah.
Most of the food that you acquires through the food bank, is there any anticipation of changes with what you're able to get through the food bank for the food pantry?
There hasn't been any news of kind of any significant changes in the near future, so we just kind of keep our fingers crossed. We are fortunate to have, like the Belchertown community garden, and they bring us fresh fruits, mostly fresh vegetables rather, and other like local area community members that have donated fresh fruits and vegetables in the past as well. But right now, I'm hoping no.
Yeah.
No.
Right. Okay.
Here, here.
Thank you.
Good job. On average, like on a monthly basis?
Monthly basis, we have about anywhere from 40 to 55 families, and that can be anywhere from 90 to 140 clients. And we're still doing a pretty healthy round of deliveries. That varies anywhere from 17 to 20 stops, I would say. So yeah, and then most of those are right in Belchertown. There's one I do on the way to work in the morning, but otherwise we're right in Belchertown, and so definitely still seeing that need of people who have more mobility challenges, and we're able to get food to them once a month.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that the food pantry is one of the most important ministries of this congregation. Caring for the least, the last, the lost among us. And I anticipate there being more this year. Thanks for the good work that you and the whole crew.
Yeah, whole crew. I don't know how Bob did it by himself, but honestly. Other than being retired for a bit. It's a lot of work.
Maybe it's ADHD, I don't know.
I don't know. Couldn't do it without the big crew we have.
Yeah. Page 11, buildings and grounds. Donna DeRoy, who is really the go-to person for buildings and grounds, caring for repairs in the church and the parish house, and somewhat the grounds as such, but mostly the buildings. She does in her last paragraph, and she's not with us or online today. I think she's due to return sometime this month.
End of the month, yes.
End of the month. In her last paragraph, I'll read it to you. You can read along if you wish. In 2025, we need to begin addressing the major project of extensive repairs to the exterior of the church. A small committee needs to be formed to determine the best way to move forward. This committee will realistically need members not only from the church congregation, but members of the Belchertown community who would like to help restore our beloved historical building. If you know of someone who you could encourage to be on this committee, if you wish to be on this committee, before more slats fall off our belfry, before the belfry falls over, before rot begins more than it is already in the clapboards of the building, maybe before more paint falls off and piles up around the outside of the church building, step up. As was said in an earlier report, there are opportunities in this congregation for a whole lot of people. Page 12 shows how we did last year financially, and this again was provided by Sue Stevens. It's an amazing year. We came out to the positive. That is a rare thing. Yes, absolutely. That is a rare thing, to see this congregation come out to the positive and not have to rely on anything that we may have in savings. I keep moving on unless you have questions.
Just a quick question on the Belchertown Fair. What was the, only doing taco salads on one day, what was the difference from previous years?
Lucy or Sue, could you answer that? The question was, and I'm going to repeat it for those online, what was the difference in taco salad weekend at the fair for one day versus having it on 3 days?
We actually made more in one day than we made the previous year on taco salads.
The answer, we made more in one day than we did
And it
the prior
varies
year.
year to year depending on weather.
Right.
And also, well, if you want me to say it now.
You come on up. Yeah, we'll pick off your report as while you're up here, and your report for the fundraising committee is on page 15. Fundraising committee report is on page 15.
Good morning. Lucy Jam Goshen, Chair of the Fundraising Committee. Yes, this year we were in a situation where all of our members who were served safe expired. And at this point, we elected not to get recertified because our wonderful leader, Larry Davis, had also retired from doing the ServSafe testing. So Amy Eiler-Pelletier was gracious enough. She has the ServSafe certificate to have it posted in the kitchen and be our savior with the Board of Health so that we could, in fact, do the fair. Which then brought us to, okay, volunteers and time and same people, and And we discovered in the 3 days the amount of product we have to buy and spend money for. We did have product left from the previous year that was still able to use because of the dates. But this year, we did decide to do the 1 day to try it. Of course, we were nervous. Is the weather going to be good? If it's not and people don't come, then we're going to be left with more stuff. But we were able to, with the help of also the Lions Club, they have Frank Cowdrey, Sue's husband, had a card to the Restaurant Depot. You have to be a member. So we were able to get all of our products through Restaurant Depot. We went as a caravan, we picked up all that product, and we were able to bring it. So we saved money there because we needed less than we would normally have. We still did our checkers with our vegetables and so forth, and they were able to store them. So it worked out well. When the numbers came out, I did them numerous times, over and over. It's like, this can't be. How come 1 day? I mean, we were tired for the day, but we had people come out and volunteer. So that looks like what we're going to be doing. We will obviously address the Serve Safe thing as we move on, and Amy's position, and I don't
Well, I have to have it for food pantry anyway,
Okay,
so.
okay.
Double dipping.
You were
I like
it.
that.
You were
I
it.
sort of take allergen, see if Choke say we're good.
All right. And we have a vomit kit downstairs, so don't you worry. The Board of Health wants that vomit kit, and it's all ready to go. That's really the one thing they look at. But anyhow. So it worked out well. So we believe that's the way to go, as long as the committee, But, as I always say, one cog in the wheel, because we all have our jobs. If that one cog gets, stuck, then we have to rely on other people to help out. But it worked out, so, and that's.
Good job of herding the cats.
People were waiting for that one day. The line was almost to the end of the church.
And they waited.
And they waited and waited.
They were not happy, some of them had been open for 3 days, but they would all come.
But they were double dip, they were bringing servings for the next day.
Yeah.
They were buying multiples. Of packaging them up for the next day.
We like doing that.
Yeah. I didn't stop scooping the entire time I was there.
All right. It was an experiment that actually worked.
Yeah.
So, great. Page 13 is the financial secretary's report. And this shows a distribution of, shows our general fund. It shows the banking investment account status, is really what it does. We still have some monies left over from a few years ago, earlier vote on some capital improvements. So I'm sure we'll be dipping into some of that again. As with most of all of our collective investments, we see up months and down months, and we do the same thing with Mosaic, who is our, that is the financial company that we are using for some of our investments here. Questions? I'm going to skip page 14 for right now, which is the proposed budget, and go on to see what else is back here. Jane Quilt Show, page 16. We'll come back to the budget in just a moment. If you want to talk anything about the Quilt Show?
Well, I guess the first thing I should say is thank you to everybody who helped move all that stuff and then pack it up. But yes, I am doing the quilt show again. The theme is going to be blue this year. So once again, I will need everyone's help to bring all the bookcases down and the shelving and everything and set up the tables. It seems to be pretty popular, and hopefully with the closing of Joann's, I can sell some more fabric, because I still have a lot of fabric. But, and we are going to be leaving on vacation 3 or 4 days after the sewing tag sale is over, so we're gonna have to pack up fast. But also, the one thing that was different this year was I was open the day of the craft fair, which was shocking. I had never been open that day when everyone else was in town doing the craft fairs. And we made $800 or $900 that day. So it just so happens, the way the book sale is going and the calendar is this year, that we're going to be open again on that Saturday as the craft fair. So anyway, I'm expecting another good.
What's the date of the, what is the date? that you're
November
doing the quilt
1st?
show?
It's the quilt show, I think, is the 24th to the 26th. And then I stay open the week after, just running the sewing tag sale, which has turned out to be lucrative, obviously. And then that Saturday of the craft fair is even more lucrative. But anyway, and then I continue to sell stuff online. But I've been slacking on that a little bit this year, so but I still have things that I list. So anyway, it's fun. It's there's people that quilt love it. So
That's right.
and I like doing it. It's fun, and I like having help. You guys are good helpers. So thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Before we move on to Article 3, which is the budget, are there any questions remaining or thought of from any of the reports in the annual report?
I have one.
Yes.
How many deacons do we have?
How many deacons do we have, Tom?
4.
We have 4 deacons.
Megan,
Mike?
Liz,
And yourself?
yeah.
4. We have 4 deacons. Tom,
Yeah.
Sally, Megan, Liz.
Right.
Are you looking for more, Tom?
Always.
Are there any volunteers to be deacon? We're looking for all sorts of people here today. Moving on to Article 3.
Yeah.
Hey Dave, hey Dave,
Yes, sir.
can you click on the thing on your laptop there? We lost signal for a minute.
Click on the thing. Let's see.
Signed up.
Got it. Thank you.
Is that
Yep, we're back.
reactivated?
Yep.
Okay. Article 3 is to hear the proposed budget for 2025 as presented by the financial secretary and vote approval. That proposed budget is on page 14 of this package. We have done well so far on this budget because the Belchertown BUCC players in fundraising have already made their target of $3,000. We have exceeded that target. Thank you, Liz, and all the actors in that silly play. And thank you for all who attended that play. Another thought here is in the personnel section. Sue had anticipated a half-time pastor with an annual salary of $45,000 per year for half-time for half the year. We may be fortunate enough to exceed half the year of a pastor, a called minister. We may be. We'll talk more about that later, although I'll talk a little bit about it now. We've had 4 ministers with whom we've had conversation in the past 2 months, 2.5 months. We have 2 that are continuing to be actively conversed with. And then 1 of whom we may get a little more serious. So if that's the case, then it could be as early as just after Lent that we could have call it candidating Sunday, I think, isn't it? When that minister comes to the congregation and leads the service, at which time then the congregation votes to call or not call that minister. I believe it's the way it works. Yes, I'm looking at their 2 ministers here. So we may have a little bit more than the amount of minister's salary that's in the budget. We just don't know. Sue does bases the budget for the current year on the historical year, so the prior year. Any questions on this budget as proposed? And then now, before inviting a motion to accept the budget for our clerk's benefit, please, if you would, state your name and the motion, and then state your name and seconding that motion so that Robert can make sure that everything is accurate in our minutes of this meeting. So is there a motion to approve the budget that is proposed to us in our annual report?
I so move.
Who does?
Rebecca.
Rebecca Sherwood moves that, makes the motion that we accept this 2025 budget. Is there a second? State your name and...
I, Susan Cowdery, would second that motion.
So we have a motion that is seconded to accept the 2025 budget as proposed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Article 4 in our annual meeting warrant, review bylaw, Article 2, Section 2, C, 1A and B, creation of church council, requiring 7 members at minimum. I will name those members, the current members who are on the council, and I will invite others to step forward and join the council. That article in our bylaws is creation of church council. The voters' assembly, folks here today, shall create a church council for the express purpose of conducting church business as described herein. The church council shall partly consist of the following officers: moderator, associate moderator, clerk, and financial secretary. The voters' assembly shall also elect a minimum of 3 other voting members to the church council. We currently have 10 members on the council. On a week or on a monthly basis, when we meet, we may have as few as 5 attending the meeting. 5 is a quorum in a church council meeting. So it was in February, I think we just squeaked by with having 5 only, and that was a delayed meeting. We needed to wait for the 5th one to show up. So if any of you would wish to serve on the church council, it is a 2-year term, and you may have 3 repeat 2-year terms if you wish. Are there any among us who would like to raise your hand to be on the church council? Let me name those who are currently on the council. Bob Stevens, David Crutchfield, Tom Shattuck, Sherry Ingram, Sue Stevens, Louise Butler, Elizabeth Eiler Pelletier, Sue Cowdery, Robert Sherwood, Marla Lindsay. Are there any who would like to join?
How often do they meet?
Once a month.
What days?
Second Tuesday, currently it's the second Tuesdays of the month, which is amendable depending on the availability of people. It's just when we have been doing it.
I'll throw my name on the list.
Okay? Brian Meehan.
Why is that the first Monday?
Not the first Monday. No.
That was right. Wrong one, really now.
It's this Tuesday, Brian.
Okay. Let me move to Article 5. Review of bylaw, Article 2, Section 3D, 3 elections and term of office, requiring church council members to serve no more than 2 3-year terms. And let me identify the current church members who are willing to serve beyond the term and request a motion that we temporarily override the term limit by an additional 2 years. Make a motion, vote approval of that. Currently, of the 10 that I just named, and then thank you, Brian, for being number 11, there are 5 of us who are and have been on the council for greater than 3 2-year terms. They are Bob Stevens, David Crutchfield, Tom Shattuck, Sherry Ingram, and Louise Butler. Louise, we would be asking if she wishes to, this would be her first extension of her term. The first 3 I named have been on this church council since February of 2011. And some of us were on a committee prior to that, I forget the name of it, for a number of years even before 2011. So I don't think any of us would mind dropping off. I don't think that any of us would mind having someone else say, ooh, let me have that office. But for now, we have 5 who are, we would need to have an override of our bylaws to extend their term of office.
So
Their
moved.
term.
Janie Powers, I move we override.
A motion has been made by Janie Powers and seconded by Rebecca Sherwood. My gosh, you guys on the back row are really powerful.
Get it done.
You are making it happen today. It's been so moved and seconded that we extend the term of membership on the church council. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed, say nay. Motion is passed. No surprise.
Could I add one thing, Dave?
You may.
Thank you to all of you that are doing that. Thank you so much for stepping forward and doing it.
Ed, thank you. It takes a village.
It takes a leader. It takes a leader.
Article 6, to review the slate of members offering to serve on the church council and vote approval. So we have only approved the motion to extend the term, and now this motion would be to approve the council members. I'll rename them. Bob Stevens, David Crutchfield, Tom Shattuck, Sherry Ingram, Sue Stevens, Louise Butler, Elizabeth Eiler Pelletier, Sue Cowdery, Robert Sherwood, Marla Lindsay, Brian Meehan. I would hear a motion to accept that list. Wait, we're in competition here. Front row and back row. Let's go. Okay.
I, Sally Shattuck, make a motion.
And that would be to accept those names
Yes.
for the church council.
Yes.
And,
I'll second.
oh, who are you?
Holly Lindholt.
Holly Lindholt made a second to that motion.
They don't want us to do anything.
Any discussion? All in favor of of that slate of members serving on the church council, say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? We're back on it again, Tom. All right.
I'm yoked.
Article 7, to nominate and elect the officer members, moderator, associate moderator, clerk, and financial secretary of the church council. Again, those who are serving these offices would be most happy to step away. Currently, we have moderator David Crutchfield, Bob Stevens as associate moderator, Sue Stevens as financial secretary, and Robert Sherwood as clerk. Are there any currently elected council members who would like to replace me?
Good luck.
It's not for life.
Who's not here? Let's nominate them.
I think Bob Stevens.
Bob Stevens, please step
He
up.
is the associate moderator. All right. Take a motion to accept those named: David Crutchfield, moderator; Bob Stevens, associate moderator; Sue Stevens, financial secretary; Robert Sherwood as clerk. Is there a motion to accept these as the officers of this congregation? Who are you?
Sally Shattuck, so moved.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second. Ken Henneman.
Ken Henneman makes a second to that motion. All in favor of these named persons as officers of the congregation, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Oh, please. No?
You're irreplaceable.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Big shoes to fill.
Number 8 is to hear, this is article number 8 in our warrant, to hear an update from the search committee. Was that even fully stated in here? To hear an update on the search
You
committee.
already did it, yeah.
Basically already did that.
Yeah. You were gonna wait, and then you said, no, you weren't gonna wait.
Yeah. So I've already passed through Article 8.
Okay.
Article 9 is to act upon any other business that may legally come before this meeting, before we adjourn. And we cannot, at this point, because nothing more is on the warrant upon which we can vote, we can have a conversation. Alex, do you want to come on up?
I don't know if this is the proper venue.
Oh, you'll make it so.
Over the years, it has been a tradition in our church for Easter to bring in flowers across the front of the church. Heather Brown, God rest her, she passed away, used to help Holly, and she passed away, and her sister Sandy stepped up and helped Holly, and it's a little bit of work in a short period of time.
And Sandy has passed away.
Holly's all by herself. We need somebody to step, thank you.
I'll help you. Just need to tell me what I have to do.
Rebecca has stepped forward.
Well, that was easy.
Love you, thank you.
Make flower arrangement.
There are 2 things that I would like to bring up, and others if you wish. You may see some activity in these 2 buildings fairly soon, perhaps to do insulation work. I met Green Collar here January 29. Green Collar is an insulating company who is a partner of Mass Save. So they do insulating work for Mass Save. They walked through the attics and the buildings on both sides of the driveway here and provided quotations to us. The quotation to insulate this building is, let me dig it out here. $17,500
The whole building?
for the whole building.
Okay.
The reason it's only that is because from right around the boutique back that way is a new addition.
Okay.
So it has already been insulated.
Okay.
So the room in which we are meeting this morning has no insulation in the walls or the ceiling. You wonder why you're cold in here? There's a good reason for it. And there is no insulation in the ceiling back to that new section or the walls. So they actually drilled through the wall, put a camera in, and found that it's void. There is no insulation in this. So $17,508. The insulation for the church building would be $21,040 for the attic only. They cannot do the walls that are empty, they are hollow, because the clapboard is against the studs of the walls. There is no sheeting between that clapboard and the wall and the studs. So they can only do the attic, but that's $21,000. Now, the church council reviewed this and decided, yeah, we need to move on if we do not have to expend any money for this work. So right now, we're waiting for an electrician to provide us with a report that the knob and tube wiring in both buildings, it's old wiring that uses two wires, a negative and a positive, I think is how it works, and it's little insulators that connect them, that it's all inactive. I met with a certified electrician a couple weeks ago, and I'm waiting for that report. It is inactive. So once we can provide certification to this green collar insulating company, then they will submit to the state for funding. It will be through Mass Save that the work is done. So we have, maybe we can have a warmer place next year. Maybe we can even continue, well, I don't know if we want to continue meeting over during the winter time in the big house, because the walls still aren't insulated. But, you know, an oil delivery of 280 gallons in the church and 231 gallons every couple of weeks in these two buildings adds up to a lot of money. So you may see some activity on that. I thought you'd be interested.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the other thing, and it's the last thing that's on my list. Reverend Jan this morning had us read a message from Thomas Shepherd, minister of First Church in Cambridge congregation, which reminded me of a meeting, a telephone meeting that I had with Vincent Viglione. He is the Belchertown Veterans Graves Officer. He visited, he checks on veterans' graves and makes sure everything's good, all the monuments are good, and I think he flags those graves at the appropriate times. But he left a message with Pastor Anina, who passed it on to me, saying that he found a tabletop grave marker that was no longer on the tabletop, it was on the ground in, is it South Cemetery? Is that the one just
Yeah.
as you're going down the hill? Of a person who was the second minister of this congregation. Does anyone know who that was?
Justice Forward.
Justice Forward. You have been studying your history, Sally Shattuck. Congratulations. Let me read a little bit about Justice Forward, because the town has approved funding for the refurbishment of that monument stone. This won't take long. just need to find the right page. And I think what made me think of this in relation to Thomas Shepard, whose message we read a bit of this morning, was in the archives of the Stonehouse that keeps, information on famous people in town. It was written, "Few men, it is believed, have lived in this community with more practical benefit to their fellow men." Reverend Justice Forward was born in May of 1730 in Simsbury, Connecticut. He was the oldest of 10 children, attended Yale. Following his graduation from Yale in 1754, he taught at Hatfield Academy in Hatfield. He was licensed to preach in the fall of 1755 when he began his service as the second congregational minister in Belchertown and was ordained in 1756. I don't have any idea who the first minister of this church was. Upon his arrival in town, he was granted 100 acres, 80 pounds sterling of money toward building a house at 92 Mill Valley Road. Any idea where that? Doesn't matter. He married a woman, Violet Dickinson from Hatfield in 1756, and they had 12 children, many of whom died of tuberculosis. He served as minister here for 56 years. And we thought Todd was here for a long time. The population of Belchertown grew from 300 to more than 2,000. During that time, he baptized 969 people. He married, or I guess he officiated, the weddings of 450 couples and oversaw more than 900 funerals. So the population was on the plus side by 69. He baptized more than he buried, so that's good. He died in 1814 at the age of 84 in his 59th year as pastor. On the inscription on his headstone, and it's a tabletop headstone, 7 feet by 3 feet. I haven't driven by to look at it, but it's going to be corrected, going to be refurbished. On it, it is written, "Sacred to the memory of Reverend Justice Forward, pastor of a church in Belchertown, who, skilled in evangelical doctrine, exemplary in Christian duty, prudent in counsel, valiant for the truth, faithful and successful in labors, after a long and useful ministry in which, with reputation to himself and to the spiritual benefit of his flock, he served God and his generation, fell asleep, March 8, AD 1814, in the 84th year of his age and the 59th of his ministry. Blessed are the dead who die in the Lord." So, this summer or sometime, we may want to go to the South Cemetery for the rededication of that monument to him. Oh, there you go. It's a magical thing.
It's a big white house, a lot of open fields in front of it.
He is also the pastor who, having lost several children to epidemics at that time, but people didn't realize they were epidemics. He dug up his daughter's grave in that cemetery because he was convinced that the vampires had possessed her.
Well, I didn't read that part of this story.
Yeah.
I thought you might find it interesting in closing this meeting on an up note. If you're an historical buff, then maybe that caught your fancy. I think we should adjourn. Are there any Anyone?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Oh.
Cowdery, adjourn.
I think I have the authority to slam the gavel and adjourn the meeting, so this meeting's adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Now.